Hello and welcome back to another Teddy's Junction video. Today we're back with a silver lady. As always, a couple of little extra mods to do. One of the jobs we've actually already done, to be fair. We've installed the Fosworks Reciever for the controller. So we've put the Omni TX 3.1 controller, and we've installed the RX23 receiver on there, so I'll show you that in a minute. A couple of jobs we're going to do while the cab's off. There's the step overlays which have came, so both came from the Locoworks, and they're already sort of painted in black, made of brass. Turns out I've had them for a little while actually. It's just one of those jobs we've sort of been forgetting to do. But there they are. It's a quite nice little detail. I'm not sure how much you can see. But it's sort of like there's like riveted details on the steps. So it sort of says on the instructions it sort of suggests that you fix them on with the epoxy, but sort of in a sort of a mission to save the paint, we're going to use the clear silicone, because if it's good enough for sticking on the nameplates, it surely would be good enough for sticking these onto the side of the cab, especially when there's already the sort of the ledge that they'll sit on anyway and rest on. So we're going to do that for the side steps, the step overlays, and then the next job will be again from Locoworks, it's the cab doors. So these have actually came, and they've already been, as requested, colour coded, so they are in the green to match. So they're just they're secure on there and there with the fixings that hold the grab rail on. And there's obviously the little detail of the handle and the little sort of embossment there. They're quite nice actually, they look good. Look forward to putting them on, see how they look on the finished project. So just removing the cab, if you aren't too sure, on the silver lady, if you flip it up on its end, just move the camera. So you'll see on the underside there's two flat blade screws either side here and here, just at the end of the tanks. So if you look, as this bit comes round down on the tank there, directly underneath there's the flathead screwdriver, and then on the rear of the loco underneath there's two little brass nuts. You'll just undo the nuts from the bottom. The screws are sort of painted on the top of the cab, so I'm assuming they're sort of old enough bite that you can just undo the nuts from the underside. So once you've undone them four fixings, just lift the cab roof. That's it. And then you'll have the plug connected to the battery pack. Obviously just disconnect the lead off the battery pack, and then you're basically ready to lift the cab off. So I'm just going to close that back down for now. Have to have a look at that. And that basically comes off. So you'll see they're the screws that have the nuts on them, on the underside at the rear of the loco, and then there's where the screws would be, sort of halfway along the chassis, these bits here. And then, so while we're here, we'll obviously show you the Fosworks controller and the receiver. The receiver's hiding under there. But first things first, we just need to put the power back on. So if you lift the lid off the cab, just going to put it down here. so. The power pack actually just slides out on the silver lady, so we can move that to the side. Connect the power. That's it. So if you turn on the loco, turn on the transmitter. So we've got it set. So this would be the regulator. This one's for the reverser, and then we've got the third servo for the cylinder drain cocks. So they're operated by servo 3. So your cylinders and the exhaust or the chimney. If you press 1, it will open up the cylinders, and then 2, it will go to the chimney. And if you press the 2 again, it puts it sort of in a neutral halfway position, like you would have done with this toggle on the old controller. And then we've simply got forward, neutral, reverse for the reverser, and then the regulator or throttle is on there like so. So obviously that'll be 0 if you like, and then to sort of maximum like the Russell was, really, to be fair. So that's all good. Happy, nicely installed, and again they've came straight from Fosworks. They just really are just a fantastic bit of kit, to be fair. Really comfortable, dead easy to use. Setup was straightforward this time. I think having done the Russell before, it gave me a bit of a heads up, so we didn't struggle with that. So yeah, that's that. I think what we'll perhaps do is we'll look at doing the cab doors first, I think. So I need to bring the cab over. So inside of the cab, I mean, if you probably do it that way, to be honest, probably be easier. We can already see the little nuts at the back. So we're going to be doing the rear. It's going to be the rear grab handles. We simply undo these little nuts. We'll put the door in its place and then secure the nuts up. Do the same for both sides, and we'll be pretty good to go. Okay, so just one thing obviously to look, we'll point out at this point with the Locoworks. There was actually an option for whether you Loco's remote control or a manual, and then there is an option for the doors to suit. Basically it's looking like, I mean, we've got the remote control version here obviously, so we've got the full doors, but there's an option to have one open door, which would assume it would be for the regulator lever, so you can control it. But it does say here that if you purchase the manual engine, then you must fit the right hand side open door first. So that's obviously so you can access the regulator lever. But because we've got the remote control version, then the 2 full doors. It is, although you can't really see it, it is the bronze green. Looks a bit dark on the camera, but it is the bronze green. So the doors have been painted in bronze green to suit. I think they were about $17.99 in the colour match. So they're quite nice, as you can see, look quite good. So the door handles, looking at the photo, are towards the front of the Loco, so I'm going to be fitting that sort of like this side on the right hand side, and then I'll repeat it for the left hand side of the Loco. So yeah, as I say, just going to undo these. Just going to undo these nuts on the back side towards the rear on the handle. So they're along this handle. I'll undo the 2 nuts and get one fitted, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so I've just got actually an old a little old sort of socket, sort of screwdriver if you like. It says 4mm on there, and I was able to actually just get straight inside the cab like that, and it was enough to undo the nuts on them. So it might be a bit tricky getting them back on, but coming off certainly wasn't an issue. So there's the 2 nuts, and then like I say, you just get the door, make sure you're aware of the handle. So for us that little handle is going to be towards the front of the loco. I'm just going to reach that, line that up with the 2 holes. It is a little bit fiddly, and I didn't think it would be anything other than. Okay, so the door's on over the holes. Now it's just going to be the case of trying to get the nuts located back onto the screw. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that now, and I'll come back and show you the finish. So there we had it. It might be a bit easier actually just getting the nuts generally just started on the back, with perhaps some tweezers, but nonetheless managed to get it on there. Just once you got them started, it was a case of just tightening them up, making sure they're nice and secure. You know, just again, we only really got to just make sure they are nipped snug rather than sort of over going at them. But that's it. There's the finished product. I think that looks amazing. To be fair, really good, and the colour match looks really good. It's probably not great on the camera, unfortunately. I apologise, but like that looks superb, and the colour is fantastic, spot on. So yeah, really chuffed. I'm just going to repeat that for the other side, and then we'll come back and move on to the steps. So that's it. There we are. So that's both the cab doors fitted to the Silver Lady. I am really impressed with them actually. I think they do look fantastic. I'm sorry the light's not brilliant. You can't sort of really see them that great, but they're fantastic. So we're just going to put the step overlays on now. All I'm going to do, so we've already got a bit of wipe, and we just to clean up the steps as they are. We'll get the step overlays, and like I say, I'm just literally going to get a bit of clear silicone. I'm only going to need a little bit. So just going to get a little bit on the finger like so. Just sort of spread it across the back. I mean, we'll see how long they last, and if they do come off, then we might have to reconsider the epoxy route. But if I can avoid it, I'd rather. Just a little smear on the back of them, just dabbed on. Don't need a great deal. Never takes a great lot. So I'm just gonna line it up on the sides, make sure it's down on the step, and then we'll squeeze them on into place. Just give them a quick press, and then it'll just be the case of letting them set, and there you have it again. A nice quick and easy job. Putting those on that. And I'll do the same again to the other side. So just like that, I've got my phone just to get the light on it. So the steps are black, they are like a satin black, but as you can see the rivet detail for each of the steps. So we'll just put the cab, fit that back onto the silver lady. So remembering you've got to take the power pack off, and if we just tuck the wire somewhere in there near the regulator so you know it's in the cab when you've put the body back on. I'll just scoot that back over here for now. Bring this back over here, and then you can see. So just be mindful really when you put the cab back on. You might just have to sort of wiggle it around a couple of bits, like the regulator valve, or you know, anything like that, any of the controls. You know the screws at the back, so you can line those up anyway, and then there you are. Perhaps just a little bit of a wiggle on the side cabs, make sure it's all flush. If you just check it over, check the other side, so that side, there you are, so that side needed just a little wiggle on, just to sit that flush across the chassis frame. And then just secure the screws. So again, if you just tip it up onto its end, and then I'll do there's the two nuts at the bottom and then them two screws at the front. I'm going to secure those, and then I'll come back and just quickly show you the screws. So there we are, that's there done. So there's the one there, one screw there, look, and then the other screw is there, and then you've got the two nuts across the bottom. You just see them there at the bottom, right at the bottom there, there's one, and then two there. So they're in this part here, look. And that is that. Once they're secured and you're happy, you just sit that and admire it. I think that looks fantastic. So we've done the steps, step overlays, and then the doors and the silver lady. Brilliant. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.